Sounds good. Well, thank you again. Share it. It should
Yep.
be good to go. Perfect. All right. And if you see me looking up, they have we have like these bigger screens that are like connected with our newer Chromebooks this year. So it's kind of like I'm all over the place. So I'm looking up and just be mindful that I am still paying attention though. If there's any questions by any means, if there's some in the chat, if I need to stop or by all means, just this is not formal or anything like that. So like I said, this is my first time presenting in this aspect of it, but it's just kind of they reached out to me. I have a friend that actually works downtown for KDE, and just wanted me to just kind of present PBIS, kind of like how our process and our timeline has actually occurred throughout this whole time. So I'm just sharing this part, and I've worked with our district PBIS representative, and she kind of helped me with making sure I put in like the necessary facts and making sure that I have everything that kind of just gives you like a overall kind of view of like how our PBIS started and then kind of where we're at right now. So again, just as well, just like she said, thank you again. A little bit about me, PBIS specialist behavior coach, kind of like 2 for 1 here at Deep Springs. This is my 5th year in this position. Prior to that, I taught 2nd grade here at the same school for 7 years. And then, of course, I'm not trying to insult anybody's intelligence, but I did want to at least just start off just saying what PBIS was. So, of course, it stands for that Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports, school-wide system of support that includes proactive strategies, just pretty much defining and teaching and supporting student behavior to make our environment more positive. So being positive, proactive, and an instructional approach to build an effective school environment. So promotes pretty much the positive behavior, because you know how whenever you think about the word behavior, more so it's about the negative or the bad behavior. So we kind of want to focus and put all our efforts and all our energy into the positive. And then there's outliers, the ones that need those extra assistance. That's where we come into place and trying to get them to get on board with the positive, acceptable behavior here at school. So just breaking it down, one of the things our PBS timeline at Deep Springs, starting around in 2014 and 15, our elementary school, we had the highest number of reported suspension days at any Fayette County public school. During the very next year, Deep Springs, we decreased our out of school suspensions because we was quick to send them on home. And then, but we did have an increase in the in-school suspension. So kind of working with the district, trying to figure out a way, implementing this PBIS, it kind of took us about 2 years to actually get rocking and rolling, and then getting everybody to actually to see some kind of progress around in like 2016 and 17. So we only had 226 ODRs, just office discipline referrals, and only had 10 suspensions, 8 of which came from students with special needs. And then during that time, whenever we do like our infinite campus behavior data, we kind of see the students that are in tier 1 that are meeting those needs are usually the ones that have either 0 discipline referrals to 1. So during that time, around 2016-17, we had 88% of our students had just 0, which was doing great. And then 93% of our students either had that 0 or just 1 office referral. So only 12 students received 6 or more. And this was a number of students who, again, was receiving either tier 3 behavior interventions, a BIP, or any kind of special ed services using with their IEP. Moving on, 2017-18, 87% of our students, we had 0 discipline referrals. 96 of them were either 0 or 1. Only 19 students at that time had 2 to 5 office discipline referrals, which results 3% of our population. And then only 2 students received 6 or more. And the reason why we kind of break it down like this is because if you think about the triangle, majority of your tier 1 intervention or your tier 1 expectations that you have in place for your school, you want to have at least 80% or above of those students to actually meet that and actually be following your expectations. 2018 and 19, 84% of our students had 0 discipline referrals. And then we had 92% of our students either had 0 or 1. And then we did have an increase with the total of 30 students that had 2 to 5, which resulted in 5% of our population. So we kind of still met our goal. And then a total of those 15 students received 6 or more. So it does kind of seem like we did make an increase with our tier 2 and tier 3, which are those students that receive 2 to 5 or more than 6. But again, it's kind of like a process. Whenever you start to implement the PBIS, it's not going to happen pretty much overnight. Recently, so 2019 and 20, we had 94% of our students either had 0 or 1. 26 of those students had the 2 to 5 office discipline referrals, and that was out of 551 students. So then the result in that was the 4.7% of our population, and then only 5 of our students within that, which they give you the percentage, received 6 or more referrals. The year it was NTI 2DL, that's when we was virtual. COVID hit. We actually had to stay online, so we had to revamp everything that we used to do in person and make it more virtual. So it does look like we were very successful with that piece. So it's 98% of our students had 0 or 1. A total of our 8 students had the 2 to 5 office discipline referrals out of the 522 students that we did have, and we had a decrease in that, which was the 1.5% of our population. So only 2 students received 6 or more, and that resulted in a 0.4 of our population. And the main reason why, like I said, the reason why we touched base on this piece, kind of talking about the timeline and then just kind of showing you a glimpse of where we started from. It takes about 2 years for the PBIS to start to be able to implement it. And then you start to see some significant improvement of your behavior. And then once you start with that tier 1 and then get everything fine tuned to where it caters to specifically your school and then your students, having that buy-in from principals and then the admin and as well as the teachers and all the staff, because it takes every one of us to work together. In 2021-22, which is last year, we had 92% of our students had either 0 or 1 office discipline referrals. Only 32 students had the 2 to 5, and we had a total of 527. So it resulted, which in 6.07 of our population, only 10 students received 6 or more referrals. So this was our first year coming back in person after the NTI. So again, I just put a little side note at the very bottom, just saying PBIS works with support from all your staff. They got to be consistent when responding to behaviors of our school-wide expectations. And then if expectations aren't in place, then the learning won't take place, because usually the behavior kind of dictates the environment, especially within the classroom. If you only have a one teacher that's trying to teach 24 students, the one student's behavior can actually mess it up for maybe 23 other students. So teaching those expectations, kind of what we do is we have Champ Camp. We still have our PBIS tier 1 team. We actually conduct our full day training for our teachers and our staff, classified and certified. And then we bring them in during the summer. And then during that Champ Camp, we kind of go over what our school-wide expectations are, and then our guidelines for success. And then we also help them with like teaching the expectations with our common areas, whether it be in the hallway, cafeteria, in the gym for an assembly, restroom, and then also the playground. So those are our 5 common areas. We also work on like our school-wide attention signal, where we use the Give Me 5, and then also like the voice levels. And these are all posted inside their room as well. And that's kind of one of the things that we always check and make sure that each classroom has their guidelines for success poster. We make sure that they have their hand signals up, and we make sure that they have all their expectations that we do across the board. It's kind of like one of those non-negotiables that we have for every classroom in this building. So we intentionally teach the classroom rules and expectations, and we use champs, and that kind of leads the instruction throughout any activity that they use throughout the day. Last year we moved to EOS, but we used it as a pilot. So we knew that it was coming down the pipeline where it started in high schools. Then it trickled down to the middle schools. And then we knew eventually our district would actually have us implementing the EOS, because that's kind of what we've been using now. It's kind of like recognizing our behavior and tracking all the student employability. So that's what it is, employability operating systems. And again, we piloted it last year. We had one primary teacher, one intermediate teacher, and a special area teacher kind of used it throughout a couple of months. And then whenever we went and presented it to the staff and we went and trained them this summer, it was using their testimony and then kind of their positives and then some of the ones that they had that they struggle with. So kind of get the teachers to buy in and then shift their mindset to where we're actually going to be not using the clip chart or using what we've been using with the stoplight and using the reach sheets that we actually use in our classroom. Now we're moving it all the way to digital. Everything that we do is all online and it goes through this EOS system. So prior to that, the only time we ever really used the EOS was I deal with the behavior here at our school. So I worked alongside with the guidance teacher and other student support staff to kind of positive recognition and then any kind of focus referrals or discipline referrals that need to be put into IC and for students to actually receive the resolution based on whatever event took place. And fidelity checks, our PBIS team, our student support team, that's a SST. We use these percentages with EOS. It shows their employability each day. So if they decide to do something positive, they get a positive tap. Or if they do something where they need a kind of like a reteach, instead of writing it down on the clipboard, you're able to just go ahead and give them a negative tap. We have an amazing district health specialist. Her name is Miss Tiana Dudley. And I did bring, I actually was able to use her Screencastify. And this is something that we actually presented to the teachers as well, because of course we can email all day and say, well, we need you to go through and remember to give the positive taps, negative taps, but she does a great job with the Screencastify for a lot of the stuff that we have to remind teachers, or if we did something during our training that we knew we gave them a lot of information, sometimes they was probably overwhelmed, especially being in the first year, but we had these Screencastifies to actually show them just as a quick refresher. So I'm going to share this one just to give you a kind of a glimpse of kind of what it looks like and what it sounds like.
Taps and negative taps. So are you all able to hear that? If I click on the first one,
Are they? I'm sorry if they can. I apologize.
It's just a little choppy. Could see if you can maybe turn up your, I don't know if it helps for you to turn up.
Yes. Yeah, I can do that. My bad.
Or maybe can you all hear it? Maybe somebody give me a thumbs up.
And I'm glad you're there checking the chat as well. So
videos are the way to go now to show people.
Oh yeah, because I'm a visual.
And
I'm visual learner
we're
as
all
well.
Print overload, so I love a quick video. Nicole, will you give me a thumbs up if you can hear this? Yeah, you're the only one on video, so you can get called out. We can't hear her voice, but I can see the video, so it's okay. We can just.
Oh, you can't hear the voice?
No,
okay.
But we can see what she's doing, and it's helpful.
Okay.
She's very low, but you can hear a little bit of it.
Right. I can probably turn it up as loud as it can go and then see if it goes through that.
To the context, right? If you go to the speakers tab side, student name, I'm just gonna
Yeah, we can't hear her at all. If you want to narrate for us a bit.
Okay. Okay. So she's what she's going through is she's actually showing the teachers, kind of just reminding them how to give an actual positive tap or a negative tap. So beforehand, we were using just our clip charts. Of course, we had the green light, the yellow light, red light, And then we would also write down reteaches, kind of like anytime a student wasn't following those expectations in their classroom, they would receive a reteach. We write on the clipboard. That was at the teacher's discretion. Sometimes they would forget to even write it down. With this can kind of take all of our data and we can focus and pinpoint the times that if a student's struggling with a certain block period, we can pull it up and then would already track our data for us with the EOS. So the EOS was very significant with letting us know that make sure that for one, teachers can actually see who they've given a positive tap to. And then also the time frame, kind of like if one of the students was struggling in their classroom, like receiving negative taps, or even when they go to specials or in the cafeteria or any kind of small group setting where they might go to intervention. So across the board, we all use it. And they don't have to be a classroom or a homeroom teacher to actually be able to give out a positive tap. Another way that she was showing, you can just find the student's name, you can search for the user, and as soon as they come up, you can give them a positive tap, and then you can jot a little note down the reason why, or you can give them a negative tap and then tell them the reason why. And we try to do the number 3. 3's been consistent for us. We used to say if they got 3 reteaches, they would move their name or they would click down. Even in this part, they would actually lose the guidelines for success. So our guidelines was the A, B, C, D, E. And I'm gonna kind of go back and just kind of see if I can see where she pulled it up at. So our guidelines is the same. Our expectations school-wide focus on our A, B, C, D, E. Always try, be responsible, cooperate with others, do your best every day, respect everyone. So when it ties into something positive, we always say, well, today they was cooperating with others by helping their friend or their peer out in class, and we give them an actual positive tap for that. Even if you see this student right here having do your best 13 minutes ago, cooperate with others 13 minutes ago. His last one was 4 days ago with cooperate with others. So you can kind of gauge, and it graphs either student or by classroom. And we can even batch it to where we can graph the teachers to see who's giving out positive taps or who's giving out more negative taps. So we can make sure that if we have to touch base with the teacher, to make sure that they're doing that positive 4-to-1 and not necessarily just negative, 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 because you always want to respond. Again, we're trying to get our culture to where we're doing more recognizing of positive behavior instead of the negative. And that's kind of like the EOS piece where it's all right here on our hand. Everyone has it on the Chromebook. We've downloaded it where teachers or support staff can use their actual phone, or any classified staff that works along with certain students, they can give it out that way as well. So it's kind of our shift from going for the paper and pencil to like everything being virtual, being digital. And I apologize for look, I even have another video coming around as well. So I apologize if it's not loud enough, and I can just narrate it as well. And thank y'all for letting me know. So using those fidelity checks, like I said, we just progress. We look at the progress with the employability percentage each day in the EOS, and then we do it each month as well. And then our reteach schedules, we always create a schedule for teachers to make sure that they use 2 to 3 days to actually initially teach the expectations in their classroom and around common areas, but also reteach the expectations throughout the school year. So the key dates, of course, beginning of the year, and then after long extended breaks, such as like the fall break, Thanksgiving, any winter break or spring break, because you will have to teach them. You would assume, or you would think that they would know or remember coming back from a long break. But honestly, 100 times out of 100% of the time, you're going to have to go back and reteach and just kind of remind them and then show them the expectations of what they're supposed to be doing. So then we also tie in with our social emotional curriculum. So we use Caring Schools Community, and that's part of our district's 10-point safety plan. So kindergarten through 12th grade, they're all implementing it this year. And this focuses on their 5 competencies, ooh, a long one. Just about self-awareness, responsible decision-making, self-management, social awareness, as well as relationship skills. And something new that we've been doing this year, we use ADESA, and it's a social emotional learner screener. So they do that 2 times, and it focuses on those 5 competencies. Whew, man, if y'all can say that better, y'all say it for me then. But once they break those 5 down, it can actually it would target for a student that if they're struggling with one of those, it kind of gives us an idea or kind of like a plan to work with that specific student so that we can actually help them and then focus on those competencies as well. Whew. Progress monitoring, we also use another tool for SEL, and this is the one where we actually have only students grades through third through fifth, and they actually have a Google form and they fill this out, and this part just identifies like how they feel here at school. If they know anybody that they can go to if they need help, and then it's kind of related to our social emotional that we've been using because we're able to actually go through Caring Schools community each day. Beforehand, we used zones, zones of navigation, but we moved away from that because we would only use that once a week as compared to Caring Schools. Now we can use it every single day, and they actually start their day off doing their morning circle and their morning groups with this, and they have the lessons that go along with it. Our acknowledgement system, again, it kind of appears off with, it goes along with our EOS. Again, like I said, whenever we train the staff, we try to train their brain to where they're not using their old clip chart system, because some of them, they loved it. They loved the little clip chart. They loved the little moving their clips from red, green, blue, yellow. And then now we're just doing something new. So it's very difficult for them to just kind of shift their brain and their way of thinking to now we're going to digital. Yes, you might have to go to your Chromebook or your computer at one point in time just to give a positive tap, but we can also do full batch taps, or you can actually go and do the same thing for the negative piece as well. So each grade level has a representative, whether they're on PBS and the student support team. So we can go behind and we can always go through and check and just make sure, like I said, that the teachers are making sure they're doing the positive 4-to-1 and then not necessarily negating some of the students by using just negative. One of the things that as the students get a positive tap, they get $1, they get an ebook. And then also if they get a negative tap, then the ebook is gone. Beforehand, whenever we did the clip chart, we used to give red tickets. Once they got a red ticket for doing what they're supposed to do, you can never take the red ticket away. They would take their red tickets and then turn them in, and that's kind of like their form of shopping in the classroom. So now with this ebooks, they earn an ebook, goes to their account. The kids love it. Kindergarten picks up on it even as quick as the fifth graders do. And then so if they get a positive tap, they know they get $1. If they get a negative tap, they know that $1 is going to be taken out of their whole account, and they're able to pull it up at home or at any computer once they're signed in. They're able to pull that up and then show their parents, and then they keep track of all of their money that they've earned and then any money that they spend. We started something very new this year. It's called our Dragon's Lair. And again, like I said, I did have a video. I am going to pull it up just to kind of show, but I won't show the whole thing. And this was our promo video to kind of hype the students up this year, to let them know once they earn these ebooks, you're not going to be getting red tickets anymore. But once you earn this, you can either shop, and we only do this once a month for this actual shop, and they get to shop and use their money and then use it accordingly. They can save it, but we have them go, and it takes us about 2 days to go through the entire school. But it's also, like I said, we try to put most of our effort and our energy into the positive piece and instead of the negative piece. So this was led by our amazing school guidance counselor. Her name is Miss Anitra Burks. And so we kind of make a little production. Again, I wish that you all could hear this piece as well, but it's kind of like we're just going through, and it just has the little fire because our mascot is a dragon. So, and then the name is Blaze. So we had this additional room, and then we had amazing staff go ahead and decorate all this. People were able to donate. We had a PTA and also community members come in and help donate different items to go into our shop. And then we had to go through and make sure that we built it all the way up to where like we put in the effort and the kids see it, so they love it. And like I said, this promo was at the very beginning just to promote, making sure that they follow those expectations that we have in place for them so that they can actually earn and get to go to the shop and then spend all the money that they earn for doing what they're supposed to do, instead of us always worrying about the student that's misbehaving or needing to reteach or anything like that. So I just kind of glanced through, and it kind of shows a little bit as well as she goes through. And so we have a mascot, Blaze. And then inside we actually have a lot of different items that are listed based on their price, similar to a store, similar to if they went to Speedway or Marathon. And again, like I said, a lot of community partners that are around around our school neighborhood, and then also family members, and then teachers, staff. They was able to donate to make sure that we kept this up and running and kept it stocked, well stocked, because it does cost a pretty penny as well. And then it takes away from teachers having to spend money to use it in their actual classroom and have to keep up with their teacher, their teacher classroom store. So now it's actually put on our school, and then we make sure that everything's good to go for them. And then, like I said, every month, once a month, we're able to take 2 days out and allow students to come down and shop. They only leave out with maybe 2 items each time, so that they're not in there buying up the whole store. And then we had to make the prices, make a nice little range of prices, just because, of course, every month, they could probably buy every little thing, but we put a nice little range in there as well. So this video, I apologize that you're not able to hear it, but this is kind of like some of the things that we implemented this year. Like I said, it took us a while to get our mindset from the clip chart to using the EOS, and the EOS makes it 10 times easier.
Awesome. Thank you, Jarvis. We've got 2 minutes left. If there's any questions, or did you have a final slide? I just want to give a 2-minute warning.
So this was just kind of like a visual. Like I said, I'm a visual person, so I love the videos when they share them, the screencastify or the video that we do, kind of like for the promo. So we used to do everything down this column with currently. Whether we did color changes, we did the red tickets for the positive part, and we did the reteaches. We did the golden tickets for being able to recognize positive behavior. And then we had the individual student behavior charts for those that are receiving special education services, or the clip chart piece down at the very bottoms. But now with EOS, if you see to the right, you can see that all we have to do now is subtract from our 5 guidelines, the A, B, C, D, or E. We can give a positive or negative tap. We can recognize referral, use them with the instead of having the golden tickets. And then students with IEPs, you're able to put their egos in there, and the teachers are able, because they can't save and move on to the next block period of their schedule until they actually set the ego for each student that might have one in their classroom. Then you can create a watch list that anytime a student has a positive, negative, or referral, it'll pop up on your watch list. And then some of the students that I work with in our check-in, check-out for tier 2, I'm able to go ahead and see, even without, of course, as soon as they get it, as soon as it happens. And so that was just like kind of like a glimpse. Our data collection, I know the time's running out. And like you said, it does. 30 minutes goes by quick. I share data for our teachers. So we break down our levels of behavior to kind of make sure that our PBIS is implementing with fidelity. And then each month, I take the IC data that we do and I share it with the staff. So the staff is very knowledgeable about the data that we, or the behavior or IC data entry that we have each month. And this is kind of like just a glimpse. So we really had to break it down to where like teachers wasn't calling or having students removed for something that they can do classroom managed. Level 1 mild stuff, we also provide them with strategies that they can use to help reduce those problem behaviors. Even level 2s, we try to make sure that they're an ally, that they are trying to be a consultant, that they're still trying to prevent these problem behaviors in the class. Once it gets to a level 3, that's when I'm involved, or any kind of services that involve mental health or maybe special ed. This is kind of like just a glimpse of what it would look like. Come to a faculty meeting. If I present the data, it'll be for this tiers 1, 2, and 3 for the month of December. And then we would break down kind of like with the triangle I was talking about earlier. Kind of like 80 to 90%. Mostly your students should be around in that range. So 490 of our students were actually meeting our tier 1 expectations. We had 3 students that received those 2 to 5. So we want to keep it in those percentages as well. And then we had 0 that had 6 or more. I'm in the room and it's called Reset and Refocus. So we call it R&R. The biggest thing for this is kind of alternate to suspension. Back in the day, we used to call it SAFE, but now myself and an amazing colleague, we work, just us two, we work in this room and we work on resetting student behavior and refocusing on those expectations. Again, it's an alternate to suspension. We try not to suspend because, of course, if you suspend a student, they're going home, they're playing on the video game rather than actually taking care of the or being retaught the behavior or taking care of any classwork they might be missing. If it's not a danger to self and other, then they would stay in their classroom. And then during their preferred time, they would come to us and we can help and assist. And since I still am certified, I'm able to kind of teach any kind of core content that they may be missing in their classroom if they have to be removed for any reason and they can't stay in there with their classroom. We implement the restorative practice piece. Of course, we have the main pieces for our restorative practice, the effective statements, effective questions, and restorative circles. Main thing that we try to do is we try to restore the damage done by based on the behavior, based on the relationship with the student and the teacher. And each one of our teachers have a small card that have those effective questioning that they can use to help them like problem solve and then kind of repair harm, whether it be student to student or faculty member to the student as well.
We're
And then helping out with the support. I know
Jarvis,
there's a few teachers that it's their first year, second year. We use these basic 5 observations and we actually, our student support staff, we actually go in and we just sit for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and we just kind of observe. We look at those positive, negative ratios, where you look at the opportunities to respond and then the disruptions. And then we also just finish up with just kind of seeing the students that are actually engaged with the lesson. So this kind of just ties back. We kind of tier them off as well, like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. One of the ones that helps us actually push in and be able to help with the classroom management and just the flow of how the classroom should be using our expectations and then kind of going with our tier 1 interventions. And I usually finish up. I'm done. It's the last one. I'm sorry. I always finish up with like a tip and a tidbit. Kind of like with the PBS piece, if administrators, building leaders, once they support you, if they support you from the top down, that's key. That's very crucial because having their support allows you to keep everybody on the same page. And then again, even with the second tidbit, trust the process and being patient with it. It took us 2 years before we actually started to see growth. And still to this day, even though we are being successful with our tier 1, we still always look for ways to improve. And then having to readjust for virtual NTI and then turn back around and then redo it again for in-person, it's up and down. That's one of the things that I love about working in the school system is every day is not going to be the same. So thank you again. And I apologize. I threw some videos that didn't work with the volume or you couldn't hear. And I appreciate this opportunity just to be able to kind of share our story here at Deep Springs. If there's any questions or concerns, I know somebody in the chat probably said, boy, be quiet. We are running about 5 minutes over. Yes, ma'am. I apologize.
30 minutes is
Thank
hard
you
to do.
again.
No worries. Thank you so much, Jarvis. And then the PowerPoint link will be in your EdGrid, so you could play the videos for yourself if you wanted to watch those videos with volume. You'll have access to those. But thank you guys, and we will be back here in 4 minutes for the final session of the day.